My name is Sól Ey, and I'm an Icelandic artist living in Copenhagen. And I'm working with sound and movement and light. I have a background in music composition, but I'm very interested in new media and how to combine different disciplines.
And my name is Paulína. I am from here, from Slovakia, but I live in Copenhagen. I work as a contemporary dance artist, mainly in Copenhagen and Prague, and a little bit also here in Slovakia. And we've been working with Sól Ey for a year now. Mm-hmm.
So the instrument is called Hreyfð, which means she is moved in Icelandic. And I wanted to make something that was like fully autonomous and fully on the body. So this instrument is, it consists of microphones and speakers that are creating a feedback loop on the body. And then we have this ring that is kind of like a master volume control and also controls some effects. And this is all battery powered, so basically all the sound is coming from the body. And what's been also very important for this, for me, is that I'm not trained as a dancer. So the way that this instrument is designed, the structure actually influences my movements a lot, and I'm thinking more from the sound perspective. But in the process, I experimented a lot with like positionings of the microphones and speakers. They're not sensors directly. I think it looks a little bit like that, but they still, the relationship between the two still influences what's happening. So, and so suddenly if I have like a microphone on my knee, then suddenly this knee starts to have a musical purpose. So this, you wouldn't normally see a musician moving their knee because you're playing an instrument, so you focus on how to make the sound. But in this case, suddenly my knee becomes musical, so I have a musical reason to move my knee, and that creates certain movements.
Is quite different from the usual research projects that I'm doing as a dancer or as a performer, since the main topic of it is a musical instrument that is created for this particular purpose, so it's something new. So how we started, obviously Sól Ey has been developing the musical instrument for quite some time, quite some years. And after she invited me to be a part of the project, we have been first exploring the instrument without any kind of composition, just like trying to find and understand the language that the instrument can evoke within the movement or with the movement. And then eventually we also had a choreographer who's a part of the performance, who then had a bit of a, I think, deeper collaboration with Sól Ey on the composition and the quality of movement and the dramaturgy of the performance. I can move, however, and the instrument is not playing. At the moment I bring it up, it brings the sound, it brings the feedback, the loop. And my instrument is designed so I wear a mic on my head and mic on my left arm. And so the difference between what kind of sound we're looking for It's created by the proximity and by the placement of the microphone towards the speaker. So if, for example, like the super typical one, when you bring the mic towards the speaker, is the squeaky one. It's the high pitch. And at the beginning, for me, the most challenging, the most frustrating thing when you can't control something of your own body. And but then eventually, I think it actually becomes quite exciting and also somehow talks about how the technologies, even though this is not the case, but how it is evolving into something that maybe in the future we will not be able to control completely. For the workshop that we have taught at Hreyfð, it was a very brief introduction into what Sól Ey is working with. So quite a fast explanation of how the instrument works, and we also wanted to let the student try the instrument on, and because most of them were dance students, so I think it was quite interesting for them to actually wear the instrument. So we have combined this presentation of the musical instrument with some improvisation tasks and the actual physical tryout of the instrument with the students. So I think it was quite successful in the end, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The narrative of the piece is very inspired by the Frankenstein story. It's about how the technology develops and the speed that it develops it, but also who is responsible for where it goes. You know, what happens when the technology becomes so intelligent that it starts to make its own decisions, or we lose some control over it, and who is this mother figure of it, and who's going to make sure or take responsibility for this not happening. In this piece, we as dancers, we're like very cyborgy because we're wearing this suit. So we're also trying to interact with the audience and create this like morbid relations between like humans and us cyborgs.
Experience that we are having in the performance, what it can maybe show to people is also that there is a conversation that can be happening between a human and a technology. It doesn't have to be scary, because for me sometimes it is very scary, the speed of the evolution of technology and which direction it's going. It can be very scary, but then what can be experienced is that there is a possibility of becoming friends with it.